Things looking crazy, a storm on the horizon. The pressure is low, gotta get moving, put on a show. The news is all buzzing, state of alert, but we've got a plan, we're ready to work. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the face. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. See a little fire or a rising flood, we're a well-oiled machine, we're running in the mud. From the city hall meetings to the rescue teams, turning worst case scenarios into hopeful dreams. We're training the people, stocking the gear, we're the team you can count on when trouble is near. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the face. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. It's more than a job, it's a calling, you see. Prepared for the present and what's yet to be. Every second counts, we're ready to react for our communities. We're making an impact. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. Yeah, we're picking you up, we're ready to go. EMA, let's get this show on the road.
Let's get this show on the road, guys. What do you think? I think we shall, right now. Right now. My name's Ron Tyler with Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Welcome to our show tonight, guys. It's a pleasure to have all you here with us. God bless you all for being here. Now, we're going to start talking about some things that we're involved with as a nation tonight. As a nation, the United States of America versus Iran and versus Cuba as well. Not so much as a war on Cuba, but Cuba has been a communist nation since 1959. But now, something else has happened today. We're going to talk about that as well. First, I want to go to Iran. What's going on in Iran? Okay? First, let me tell you this. Today, Reza Pahlavi, who is the son of the former president of Iran, is now taking over. At least that's what he says. Let's go to this report by Christian News or Broadcasting News. Let me show you this.
Reza Pahlavi, the Crown Prince of Iran, just made an extraordinarily important announcement about the future of Iran. Take a look.
The Iranian people have called on me to lead the transition after the regime is gone. I have accepted that responsibility. Part of their great mandate to me is to return our nation and our foreign relations to normalcy. I will do exactly that. My commitment is to ensure the transition is orderly, the country is stabilized, and Iranians determine their future through the ballot box. We will not repeat the mistakes of past transitions. We will avoid de-Baathification scenarios and maintain as many bureaucrats and public servants in transition as possible. Iranians have made their choice at an enormous price. Now I ask our friends in the Arab world to join us, to prepare to recognize and engage our transitional government. We will rebuild our nation not for expansion, but to serve the Iranian people. We will base our diplomatic relations not on exportation of ideology, but on mutual respect and shared interest. We will reintegrate into the regional and global economy to increase prosperity for the citizens of all of our nations. Standing with the Iranian people is not charity. It is a strategic investment in making our region one of the most stable, secure, and prosperous in the world. Together, we can build a Middle East our children will be proud to inherit. Take this new path.
I put this in my ears, and I haven't asked anyone to repeat themselves.
Okay. Sorry, I can't let this commercial go.
Nicole John Sezion, a journalist in Jerusalem, joins us now. So Nicole, my friend, before we even get to what happens next, how much longer is the Iranian regime going to be able to keep putting up a fight? And, people are saying, well, you took out the Ayatollah. When's this regime crumbling? What are you hearing?
Well, it's so interesting to be talking about this on right on the heels of this breaking news, because I feel that in the last couple of days, we've gone from wondering what the capabilities are of the regime to hearing the results of the combined U.S. and Israeli military campaign, to now, even as recently, just today, I was in a briefing with somebody, an expat Iranian who works for advocacy and democracy in Iran, who said that her sources are talking about the coming collapse of the regime, that there are defections and people are leaving the Basij, leaving the IRGC. They're putting down their weapons. They're throwing their phones so that their commanders will assume that they've been killed. And then they are trying to disappear and basically defect. And so what she was calling for was for the international community to start to encourage this, even overseas, even, in other countries, from diplomats and workers in embassies, to encourage more defections, because she said all of this is going to culminate. It becomes a critical mass that could change everything overnight.
Well, obviously, nature abhors a vacuum. And let's say this regime were to collapse. I think the vast majority of Western allies, the vast majority of Persians, it seems like, in the diaspora would be 100% behind the crown prince. But I know that there's other factions, trying to vie for power, I guess you could say, in this moment. Who are some of the other players in this transition government? Again, nothing's happened officially yet. The regime's still in power. But what are some other people we should be keeping our eye on, at least?
Right. And also, by the way, I don't know, it appears to be that Reza Pahlavi is the popular choice of the people. It appears to be, but I don't claim to know that as well. Although everybody I've interviewed, and I've interviewed several Iranians and analysts of Iran, are saying that he would be the natural choice. Now, other groups, for instance, there is the MEK, which is the Mujahideen al-Khalq, and I think it's like Mujahideen of the People, and they are an a Marxist Islamic group that some people have said is more like a cult because of the demands that they have of their people. Like they demand that the women wear hijab, even though they say that they're against the current regime, but they still have their own sort of Islamist, like a secular Islamist system. In any case, Mariam Rajavi is the head right now of that party. She has also declared herself the head of a transitional government. She did that a couple days ago before Reza Pahlavi. So it's just very interesting. There's also, I've asked many questions. I have to say, Iran is a historic and extremely large and massive nation, 90 plus million people, and I think 17 minority groups, something like that. So I can't say that I have any expertise. So I'm asking the experts, and I have asked several people, what will happen with all these minority groups? For instance, we're hearing about the Kurds being armed to go and to do a ground invasion and to lead an uprising on the ground, which, people are saying that though the Israeli-American bombing campaign has been extremely effective in taking out missiles and missile launchers and intelligence sites and a lot of the infrastructure, an airstrike alone or a series of airstrikes cannot change the regime. So they are depending ultimately on something to happen on the ground. So with the Kurds, so my questions have been, okay, so what if the Kurds then break away and create their own republic? Or what if they become the oppressive regime? Or what about the Azeris? The Azeris, I think, make up a large percentage of the population. I think it's more than 10, less than 20. It's something like that. But what if they do that as well? And many Iranians insist, and again, this is their words, not mine, that Iran is a society that is built on this diversity and that they would stay unified and that none of these groups would rise up, that everybody wants the same end result, which is a democratic government.
This American company from Nashville took a page out of the military.
Hold on.
Just a fascinating time to be alive. The idea that the Islamic regime in Tehran, might be soon to be collapsing. And then you think about Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and the militias in Iraq and just all the chaos that has transpired, and the fact that there is a potential, to have Iran become, a source of peace and a Western ally is just, almost unthinkable a few years ago. So the fact that we're here is pretty amazing. But on the other side of that token is what's happening where you are, which is in Israel, in Jerusalem. Have things kind of quieted down, or are you guys still going into the bunkers all the time?
Today, this day that you're interviewing me is the first day in Jerusalem. We have not had a siren. So for us, yes. Now, on the other hand, there are still missile launches from Iran, though not as many, very, very few. And the other thing, though, that has Hezbollah, you mentioned Hezbollah, they jumped in 2 days into the war, and they're sending a lot of drones into northern Israel. And I don't know if that is indicative of the fact that they have no missiles left, because, Israel, they had a war with Israel, for 2 years during the Hamas-Israel war. There was also Hezbollah was involved, but during that time, it could be that they were extremely depleted. Also, the fall of Bashar al-Assad in Syria cut off that Iranian Lebanese or Hezbollah connection. It cut off literally a physical corridor to get weapons and support to Hezbollah in Lebanon. So right now, what has happened is the focus of the war, I think, for Israelis is more about Hezbollah, because that's closer geographically, and it's actually where we are getting more sirens, though it's only affecting right now the north of the country.
Well, Nicole, it is Shabbat in Israel right now, so I'll let you get back to your family. Thank you for your incredible insight, my friend. Shabbat shalom, and God bless.
Okay, that's a report from Israel in Jerusalem, but things are all ongoing here. Okay, things are ongoing. Now, what you also need to know is Russia has decided that it is going to supply intelligence to Iran to attack the United States military. Putin has decided now to back Iran and supply intelligence to the warring factions in Iran against the United States and Israel. So this is ongoing, okay? Now, this just happened today. Russia has decided to go to war against the United States in Iran, supplying intelligence to Iran to go after the United States and Israel, which means Iran may be getting information where our U.S. military is, whether it is on ships, whether it is bases across the Persian area, Saudi, Bahrain, over in Dubai, anywhere. But what we also need to remember is between the United States and Israel, we've basically cut off Iran missiles. We've cut off their robotic drones. Almost everything has been destroyed now. As you heard that lady say earlier today, Israel has not had any warning sirens at all. Yesterday they did. Today they have not. That is because the United States and Israel has cut it off. They cannot produce them. Their production sites have been completely destroyed. Their launches have been in the process, as of yesterday, also being destroyed. And as I reported to you yesterday, the launchers were being put on the tarmac next to their planes. Iran has put the mobile missile launchers on the tarmac at the military airport in Iran, where they could be launched from the airport. Thus, when the United States took out those missile launchers, they also destroyed the remaining planes on the ground in Iran. Iran has no more air force at all. Iran has no more planes at all. Their missiles have been destroyed. Their production areas have been destroyed. Their intelligence gathering facilities have also been destroyed, except today, where we learned that Russia's gotten involved, supplying intelligence to Iran. Now, how much of that is true, we don't know, but that has come to pass. Okay? The United States military is going up against Russia intelligence at this point. Okay? But Iran is about to become completely disabled. Let me give you the report from Fox News today. Let me show you what Fox News has to say here. Okay? This came out earlier today. Please watch this new information.
As we keep a close eye on the Middle East, President Trump speaking in a brand new interview with Axios, saying that he needs to be personally involved in selecting Iran's next leader, just like in Venezuela. Trump acknowledging that the fallen supreme leader's son could be the most likely successor, but the president making clear that option is, quote, unacceptable.
The rogue regime now conducting retaliatory strikes against at least 12 countries. The latest hitting Azerbaijan, far to Iran's north. Our chief foreign correspondent, Trey Yanks, leads off our coverage. He's in Tel Aviv for us this afternoon. Trey?
John, Sandra, good afternoon. Early this afternoon, I spoke with a senior military official who basically said there were 90 jets this morning and they hit 40 different targets across Iran. Already since that conversation, another wave of Israeli jets has flown to Iran again and is bombing targets across the country. This comes as we're getting some new video showing the Iranian Air Force trying to evade an Israeli plane, an F-35, that ultimately in a dogfight shoots down the plane. And you can see that video right here. The Israelis say this is the first time they have had an air kill like this since the 1980s. Israel's Prime Minister today, Benjamin Netanyahu, going to meet with U.S. and Israeli pilots at an airfield in southern Israel.
We continue to strike targets of the terror regime in Iran and also terrorist elements in Lebanon. The achievements are significant, but much work remains. I want to again thank my friend President Trump for the cooperation between us and between Israel and the United States. Together we will continue, and together we will accomplish our missions, with God's help.
Officials here say that coordination is historic, and it's very important right now as the Iranians are continuing their ballistic missile launches against this country and regional Gulf countries. Last night, 3 separate alarms sounded across central Israel, sending people into bomb shelters. There were another 2 alarms today amid incoming Iranian ballistic missile fire. Now, the Iranians are now commenting on the war, saying this from Tehran.
We didn't start this war. This was not our war of choice. we were attacked. The aggressors are responsible for the consequences. They initiated this war, the same they did in June. So Iranians have no other choice other than continuing to resist, to defend their territory, their sovereignty, their security, as long as it takes.
That official failed to mention Iran's expanding ballistic missile program or their efforts to reach a nuclear bomb in those remarks. But as the Israelis are looking at comments and action to the east, they're also looking north into southern Lebanon, where ground forces are pushing to more defensive positions inside southern Lebanon. Also, earlier today, the Israelis issued a rare evacuation order for the entirety of southern Beirut, the Dahya neighborhood. They've been hammering this neighborhood with airstrikes, trying to go after the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. John, Sandra?
Hey, Trey, just wondering, have you heard anything about Israeli officials hacking Iranian TV and putting up messages encouraging people to rise up against the regime? And for people who are with the military to defect?
Yeah, there's a massive amount of operations that are taking place behind the scenes, trying to ensure that the information the Israelis want the Iranian people to see is actually seen. Some of this has to do with the IDF Military Intelligence Directorate, the Amman unit, and this is led by Major General Shlomi Binder, who has been taking this intelligence operation to a new level in the region, so that not only are the Israelis able to confirm and control the information inside of Iran, they're also able to identify immediately which officials are going in to replace those who are killed in airstrikes, and they're immediately striking them. They say it's a game of cat and mouse almost. And once a new official comes into power to oversee a military unit or an IRGC headquarters after it's hit, they immediately target that individual. And again, this speaks to the coordination between the Israelis and the Americans as it relates to intelligence. And we are told that intelligence is actually leading a lot of these military operations that we're watching unfold.
Hey, everyone.
Okay, that's what's going on now. Notice when they said that our military, our missiles, our planes are going up into Lebanon and over towards Azerbaijan territory. Why? Because, guys, what's going on there? Iran has noticed that the Azerbaijanis and the Iraqis from the north are coming down into Iran to attack Iranian forces. That's what's going on here. They've come into Azerbaijan, from Azerbaijan into Iran, from Iraq into Iran to attack Iranian forces. That's going to be happening. That's going to be happening. Why? Because they want to completely eliminate the Iranian forces. They want to completely eliminate the Iranian army from the huge Iranian super guard force. Okay? The huge Revolutionary Guard force. That has to be eliminated. Otherwise, guess what's going to happen? Nothing. Nothing will change. The Revolutionary Guard force has to be completely eliminated. That's what they're going for now. Okay? In the next 2 to 3 weeks, they say this will probably be eliminated. But as you heard in the first part of the report, that report about Reza Pahlavi coming into power, President Trump doubts that. President Trump doubts that. Doesn't think that's going to happen. President Trump is going to have to get in charge and make sure that the people in charge in Iran are going to not attack anybody else, even in the near future. Never. They are never going to have a bomb. They're not going to be able to attack any other country. Those kinds of things are over. They're completely over and done with. Not going to happen. Not now, ever. Now, something else is going on in the United States that all of you may want to know about. May want to know about this, guys. Now, President Trump has had Marco Rubio as a Secretary of State since last January. Something else has happened with Marco Rubio today. Marco Rubio has been given the best job in his life. Marco Rubio has been given by President Trump the best job in his life. What is it? What's going on? Marco Rubio's family comes from Cuba. Marco Rubio has been shown as a great strength to the Trump administration. Huge strength to the Trump administration as a Secretary of State. In fact, probably one of the best Secretaries of State we've ever had. I'm going to say that right up front. I like Marco Rubio. I've liked him for many years now. Not just since he's been with Trump, but for many years. He's been a straight shooter. He's been on the part of making sure our United States remains free and without any other complications. Okay? He came into power as a United States Senator when we needed it. Okay? Number one, he backed Glenn Beck, and Glenn Beck started his own force getting politicians to fight against the Democrat Party. Glenn Beck started his own force to fight against the Democrat Party, and for the most part, it happened. It happened. Marco Rubio and many other senators and congressmen came into power because of Glenn Beck. Okay? Yes, I admire Glenn Beck as well. Okay? This goes far up and above that. Again, Marco Rubio's family comes from Cuba. Today, Marco Rubio has been appointed to go to Cuba to broker a deal to be an ally of the United States, not a territory being assumed in the United States, but as an allied country of the United States, not as an ally of the communist government of Venezuela, the communist government of China, or the communist government of Russia. Marco Rubio has been appointed as a person to go in and negotiate peace, a peaceful surrender to the United States as an allied country of the United States. That's a big deal. No more are they going to be able to receive communist instructions. No more are they going to be able to bring communist ships from Russia or China into their ports. The United States is going to back them. The United States is going to help them with food. The United States is going to help them with oil and gas. That's what's going to happen. This will make the second time that President Trump in the last week and during this year that he's asked a warring nation to come into the United States and make peace. And nations either followed Islamic law or communist ideals to come along and fall on the coattails of the United States government. Marco Rubio should have a pact between Cuba and the United States probably within the next week. We shall find out. Again, I completely support Marco Rubio. I absolutely support Marco Rubio wholeheartedly. He's the best Secretary of State we've ever had. Okay? President Trump, on the other hand, has been the best president of the United States we've ever had in our history since President Reagan. Okay? Now, I noticed that we had as many as 25 people that were watching this program just a moment ago. Now we dropped to 17, probably because I came out in support of President Trump and Marco Rubio. I understand President Trump is not popular among our Democrat friends. I'm sorry. I'm not popular to any Democrats at all. Okay? I'm not popular with any Democrats at all. I'm a conservative. I'm not a Republican. I'm a conservative. I'm a constitutional conservative. I believe in the Constitution of the United States. Okay? That's where I'm going here. Okay? We're going to remain a country of rules, of laws, irregardless of what the Democrat Party does. Okay? Now, I'm going to drop all politics for the rest of this program. Today, we're talking about emergency preparedness. Preparedness. Why? Because, guys, we need to get ready for Christ's second coming, number one. Number two, We see things happening all over the country and around the world. Things that can affect each one of us personally and as a family. We need to protect our families. Protect our families is number one. Now, recently I was asked as late as Monday. We keep getting asked, do we hoard food? No, we do not. We do not hoard food at all, but we store food. We store water. We store medical supplies, first aid supplies. We make sure each member of our family has coats, jackets, parkas, head coverings, gloves, clothes, and right shoes or boots, making sure we are ready for anything that happens, whether it is very cold weather, blizzard conditions, which they've had all over the northern United States. You even had those here on the East Coast last week. Now, as of this week, that cold weather has been over until next week. Next week, the cold comes back here on the East Coast. Okay? Comes back. In the Midwest, they've been seeing stormy weather, thunderstorms, and tornadoes. Thunderstorms and tornadoes in Illinois, Oklahoma, Iowa, and Indiana, and some parts of Missouri. Those are going to continue now through the rest of this year, off and on through the rest of this year. We need to be prepared for anything that happens. Okay? We need to store water. We need to store food. We need to make sure we have adequate clothing for any condition. We need to have everything ready. Okay? When food and clean water become scarce or inaccessible, or when our family finances are tight, we need to be practicing provident living. In emergencies, those who have stored food will feel more secure and will be better able to help their families and neighbors through the crisis. We've proven that time and time again throughout the years. Now we've been involved here in emergency preparedness, talking about disasters and emergencies for now almost 7 years. April 3rd this year will be 7 years. Provident living is a philosophy of wise stewardship. Wise stewardship. It's important. It focuses on being self-reliant, living within one's means, preparing for the future to reduce stress and to assist others. It emphasizes contentment, avoiding unnecessary debt, building on emergency savings, and maintaining physical and emotional health. The key aspects of this approach include financial stewardship, avoiding consumer debt, budgeting and living below one's means. Below one's means, not over it, not extending oneself with credit cards or other means, but living below one's income. That way you're making your family more provident, you're making your family more reliant on themselves. Okay? Not relying on others. Not relying on the topsy-turvy economy. Preparedness, we talk about that every week, almost every day. Maintaining food storage, emergency supplies, and emergency funds. Self-reliance means taking personal responsibility for our health, our education, and our career development. We need to be having gratitude in our lives. Christ himself taught gratitude to us. We need to be content also with our lives, shifting focus from wants to needs and finding joy in what we already possess. We need to have sustainability and contentment, focusing on needs rather than wants and reducing waste. Now, this concept is strongly associated with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. However, not everybody. But what we are talking about today is strongly emergency preparedness, which emphasizes that preparing both temporally and spiritually allows individuals to be better equipped to serve God and to serve others. Provident living typically involves active preparation in several different key areas. Financial, we talked just a bit about that. Financial, creating a family budget, paying tithes to God, and building a financial reserve for ourselves, savings. We talk about that all the time, savings. Every spare dime we get in our house goes into a budget, into our emergency preparedness kit. That way, when crap hits a fan, or as someone likes to say, crap hits the oscillator, both of them are adequate. When crap hits a fan, we're living within our means. We have the money we need. When everybody else is going around going, oh my gosh, we just lost everything. Those of us that have been prepared, that have been preparing for a long time, will be better able to live substantially within our own families, within our own minds, and within our own selves. Education. Now, some of us don't want to go back to school. That's fine. That's all fine and good. But there's education we can get on the internet. Obtaining the skills and knowledge necessary for stable employment. I'm going to repeat that. Obtaining the skills and knowledge necessary for stable employment. Being able to generate finances for us and our families. We also need to have physical health. Me, I'm working on it. You notice I wear a nasal constantly. That's because in my employment, I suffered injury that made me dependent on external oxygen. I'm trying to get off of it. I'm doing those things that are necessary to help myself become stronger. I'm eating nutritionally, thanks to Carol. I'm exercising I'm hopefully getting adequate sleep as well. Home storage. Maintaining a supply of food and water that is rotated and used regularly, using that food which we have. Noting the dates, pull the older food forward, use our older food first, and then resupply it and put the new food behind the old. That way we always have good food to eat. Okay, maintaining a supply of food, rotating it, making sure we use water, drink water. Yes, we have to use water to flush toilets and to clean with. We have an adequate supply of water for backup. What if the water we have in our home goes down? It's happened many times. Many times. We need a backup. We need to have food and water as a backup. Okay? Now, something else that I found as well. We've talked about this also in the past. I'm going to touch on it now. I think it's important. Finding strength in the Lord. Emotional resilience. This will help each one of us develop healthy coping mechanisms and stronger relationships. Finding strength in the Lord through prayer, through scripture study, through family worship in church. 7th, find a better job if we have the ability to have a job. Finding a job. This teaches us practical job search skills like networking, resume writing, and interviewing. finding a better job. Need to exercise that strength as well. Yes, it is a strength. We talked about education. I'm going to talk about one more time here. Education for better work. Guiding ourselves and individuals in selecting and developing educational goals and achieving them. Making sure we can keep up with our education. Now, as you know, I started this program 7 years ago, primarily about earthquakes and disasters. Earthquakes and disasters. Yes, I have a degree in geology. But guess what? That degree doesn't mean diddly squat if you don't keep it up. I've kept it up. I've kept it up throughout the years. I followed the guidelines for FEMA. I've got about 42 different classes, which is a bachelor's degree worth of education in support of preparations. I've also taken classes online in geology, earthquakes, earth strata. I'm very well prepared to talk about anything in that genre. Very prepared. That's because I've gone back to school and taught myself. Sometimes we don't exercise our degrees. Yes, our schools, our churches, and other people say you need to have a degree. But once you get that degree, sometimes we fall away from what we got a degree in. Companies hire us. It has nothing to do with what we had in education in. In my case, I went into law enforcement. I had a double major in earth science and law enforcement. I went into law enforcement. I was hired because I had the stick-to-itiveness to get an education. I got a degree in law enforcement and emergency management. And I also got a secondary degree in geology. Okay? I've exercised both of those. All of it. That's what we need to do. We believe in being prepared and self-reliant. We believe in being prepared educationally for employment, preparing financially for every rainy day, and preparing ourselves temporarily for natural disasters, emergencies, and challenges in our life. Most important, we believe in preparing spiritually for the second coming of Jesus Christ. The second coming of Jesus Christ. And for living with our Father in heaven again. This approach to preparedness is critical. It's critical. It's called provident living. Provident living. Living providently reflects our true eternal nature. We are to act for ourselves, not to be acted upon. We need to act for ourselves, not to be acted upon. The Lord himself wants us to be responsible and independent. He wants us to live providently, because who we become in the process, we become responsible, become generous, we become mature, and we become kind. We become responsible, we become generous, we become mature, and we become kind. We can help our families and others. How can we help feed the hungry if we ourselves are hungry? How can we impart knowledge if we ourselves lack knowledge? How can we help other people build their faith if we ourselves lack faith? Principles of provident living include the following. Preparedness. Prepare ye for that which is to come, for the Lord is nigh. Industry. Thou shalt not be idle. Learning, even by study and also by faith. Those three things. Preparation, industry, and learning. When we do all those three things, they can provide us for ourselves. We can be able to provide for ourselves. but we still cannot meet the needs of others. We may not still be able to meet our basic needs. They turn first to their families for help. The people who don't have those three things turn to their families for help. If this is insufficient, maybe the church can help. Maybe our nearby community can help. We can use the resources that we have. We can use the resources we have. Any assistance from the church or community is meant to help the aims of people that want to help themselves and help encourage work in their own lives. Nobody gets anything for free in this world. We need to help other people, help themselves. We can learn to become self-reliant ourselves in the following areas: spiritual strength, trusting in the Lord, obey the commandments, pray and study the scriptures daily, and serve others. Trust in the Lord, obedience to the commandments, pray and study the scriptures daily, and serve others. Physical health. We believe in the word of wisdom. We believe in abstaining from those things that will degrade our health, degrade our bodies. We need to get exercise, adequate sleep. We need to practice sanitation and hygiene. Okay? Make sure we do those things to make sure our bodies are healthy. We get adequate sleep on top of that. We practice good sanitation and we practice hygiene. That will help us become physically healthy. Those things. Okay? We talk again about education. Become literate. Obtain job skills. Study the best books. Employment. Work to provide for your own family and your family's needs. Home storage. Store clean drinking water. And gradually build up a supply of food that you and your family can eat on a regular basis. And a long-lasting supply of food and water, such as grains and beans. Again, we go back to finances. Pay your tithing to the Lord. Pay your tithing and offerings to the Lord. Avoid unnecessary debt. Gradually build a financial reserve for yourself and your family. Again, put money aside in your emergency preparedness kits we so strongly advise everyone to have. Those are important. Those are very important. Now, if you want to find out spiritually how those things fit in, go to the scriptures. Read in Genesis 41. Go over to Genesis 41. That will help you. I guarantee you that will help you. Genesis 41 will open up your eyes and make sure that you know where you're going. That will keep you on the straight and narrow. I promise you that will keep you on the straight and narrow. Now, Robert D. Hales also said something else. Actually, I just went to the scriptures a second now. I'll talk about what Robert D. Hales said. I tell you these things because of your prayers. Wherefore, treasure up wisdom in your bosoms, lest the wickedness of men reveal these things unto you by their wickedness, in a manner which shall speak in your ears with a voice louder than that which shall shake the earth. But if ye are prepared, ye shall not fear. And that ye might escape the power of the enemy, and be gathered unto me a righteous people, without spot or blameless. Wherefore this cause I gave unto you the commandments. That's from the scriptures, guys. That's from the scriptures. Robert D. Hales said, all of us are responsible to provide for ourselves and our families in both temporal and spiritual ways. To provide providently, we must practice the principles of provident living, joyfully living within our means, being content with what we have, avoiding excessive debt, and diligently saving and preparing for rainy day emergencies. Those are the important things in our lives, and they should be. They should be. Linda comes in and says it's always a rainy day and savings disappear. That's right. We need to prepare for a rainy day. If we do that, we're going to have the monies and ability necessary to get through those rainy days adequately, without worry or degradation of our health and our minds. Okay? Now, some places it's still very cold in this country and around the world. It's still winter in many portions of the world. Weather changes. Weather changes. We talk about it all the time. You need to be prepared. Always and adequately prepared for whatever happens. Now, just briefly before I end this program, I want to talk about earthquakes, specifically some earthquakes that have happened. Okay? I want to talk about earthquake that happened today. I want to give you some insight on this earthquake. Okay? This earthquake was a 6.3 very strong earthquake in the Solomon Islands. 6.3 earthquake in the Solomon Islands today. 181 kilometers south-southeast of Kirikira, Solomon Islands. Okay, let's show this. I want you to see this. It's supposed to be a 6.3 earthquake. The first listing that USGS has shows 44 stations reporting, 44 seismographs reporting. Guess what? No station detailed. No station details contributed. Why not? USGS, I'm asking, why do you put this there if you don't plan on showing any data? The second one shows still a 6.3 earthquake, but this time 574 stations reporting. Let's look at those station details. On the left, it shows a channel. Those are seismographs reporting the details. Seismographs that are reporting the strength of the earthquake. Let's look at this. First off, this was a 6.3 earthquake. This first seismograph is reported 6.15, 6.16. Next is 6.01. Next is a 5.81, 5.65. Then finally a 6.35, 6.62, 6.35. Another 6.62 here, 6.39, 6.53, 6.63, 6.17, 6.55, 6.58, 6.56, 5.85, 5.72, 6.51, 6.16, 5.72, 5.72, 5.70, 6.47, 6.54, 6.56, 6.56, 6.37, 6.52, 6.24, 6.57, 6.53, 6.21, 5.76, 6.33, 6.62, 6.17, 6.39, 6.40, 6.40, 6.20, 6.22, 6.69, 6.55, 6.19, 6.22, 6.5, 6.3, 6.44, 6.41, 6.35, 6.54, 6.36, 6.25, 6.23, 6.52, 6.48, 7.03, 6.49, 6.63, 6.45, 6.50, 6.48, 6.65, 5.91, 5.76, 6.0, 5.98, 6.31, 6.30, 6.88, 6.45, 5.83, 6.7, 6.44, 5.87, 6.5, 6.36, 6.25, 5.97, 6.3, 5.97, and the last one here is a 6.97. Now, I did not show all 657 states in reporting. I didn't do that. But what I did do, I went through 90% of the earthquakes listed here. Went 90%, 95% of the seismographs reporting this earthquake. This earthquake was not a 6.3 earthquake. This earthquake was not a 6.3. It was, however, at least a 6.5 to 6.6 earthquake. This was at least a 6.5 to 6.6 earthquake. All the data put in front of you. 6.5, 6.6 earthquake in the Solomon Islands. Now remember what I have been reporting all week long? 4.8, 4.9 earthquakes in the southern Fiji area. What did I say about that? What did I say about that? That we would probably have anywhere from a 5.9 to a 6.3 earthquake as a result of that earthquake. 6.0 to a 6.3 earthquake as a result of those deep earthquakes. That's what we had. That's what we had. But this, in this case, I believe this was actually a 6.5 earthquake. A 6.5 earthquake here. Okay? Again, I'm right on the money. I'm right on the money. Rebecca Griffith says, what to do with these numbers? What do these numbers mean? Those numbers, Rebecca, are from seismographs in the area of the South Pacific. Seismographs that were recording that earthquake in the Solomon Islands. That's what those numbers are. Earthquake magnitudes. That earthquake, that 6.3 earthquake that USGS reported, was actually a 6.5 to 6.6 earthquake. 6.5 to 6.6 earthquake. Let's go back to USGS map. Okay? I'm going to take down our EMA banner. I'm going to take down our webcam for the time being. I want to show you what happened here. I want to be absolutely sure that you know what I'm talking about here. Okay? This is that earthquake in the Solomon Islands here. Okay? Now today, more earthquakes have hit. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. This is a large 5.0 earthquake here south of Fiji Islands. This one is a moderately deep earthquake. This earthquake is 240 miles deep, or 240 kilometers deep, 240 kilometers deep. Moderately deep earthquake. This earthquake down here in the Kermadec Islands. The Kermadec Islands belong to New Zealand. This is a 5.3 earthquake in the Kermadec Islands, north of New Zealand here. The Kermadec Islands are not occupied by human beings. They are inhabited by birds, by many birds. It's a bird sanctuary. Humans cannot even get near the Kermadec Islands without being tossed into volcanic rock beneath the surface. They have to wait until high tide to get a boat into the Kermadec Islands, or be dropped by helicopter on the Kermadec Islands. Okay? That's the only way humans can get there. As a result, the Kermadec Islands are not inhabited by humans, just birds. This is a 5.3 large earthquake in the Kermadec Islands today. Okay? Over here in Indonesia, it's interesting to look at this. 42 earthquakes here in Indonesia today. 42. USGS is showing us 3. This earthquake here in the Banda Sea. This is a 4.5 earthquake here. 4.5 moderate earthquake here in the Banda Sea. This earthquake energy was absorbed by the ocean water. No person or any island even felt this earthquake. Okay? Here, this is a 4.6 earthquake, 152 kilometers deep. Again, look where it's at. In the Banda Sea. Nowhere near land at all. The ocean waters here absorb the shock waves of this quake. Going further north here, look where this is at. On an island here in Indonesia. 82 miles east-northeast, Mazohi, Indonesia. This was a large 5.1 earthquake here. Large 5.1 earthquake. There are cities here, or towns here, in Indonesia here. There are towns and even isolated villages here on this island. This is a large earthquake. A 5.1 earthquake, no matter what USGS says, is a large damaging earthquake. They're now calling these 5.0, 5.9 moderate quakes. They're not moderate at all. 5.0 to 5.9 earthquakes have caused extensive damage to people getting hit by these earthquakes. Okay? They should not have last year changed the designation. USGS is wrong. This is a large earthquake. It caused damages here. I'm zooming in. I want to show you the villages here. People who live in this area were affected by this earthquake. They were affected by this earthquake, guys. These people don't have much money. These are isolated villages here in Indonesia. Most of these people don't have much money at all. They might be making maybe $300, $400 a year tops. Tops. When they have an earthquake like this, there is clearly damage, and they may be having injuries here because of this earthquake. Maybe worse. We'll never know. We'll never know. Largely because it was so isolated. There's not adequate communications available to tell us what happened here. Probably never will be. But like I said, the people on this island were devastated today by this large 5.1 earthquake. And yet USGS not even showing the other earthquakes here. 5.1 earthquakes cause aftershocks, but it's not just aftershocks that have happened here on the earthquakes we've shown you. Not at all. Going further north. This is in Tobelo, Indonesia region. Tobelo, Indonesia. A 5.4 large earthquake here. 5.4 earthquake here. They say it's 43 miles east of Tobelo, Indonesia. Guess what? Where's it at? On the north part of this island here. Now, for the most part, this is far enough out to sea. I don't think anybody on this island may have felt the brunt of this earthquake, but they may have felt some kind of shaking here. They may have felt some kind of shaking here. Now, I believe there's some villages here as well. For example, right here. This is a small clearing where people live. There are other areas as well, all over this island. Right here, for example. These places are far enough away from that earthquake that I don't believe anybody felt that earthquake here. If they felt anything, they may have felt some tiny shaking here. That's all. But again, there are other earthquakes here as well that our agency is not showing. 42 earthquakes here in Indonesia. They show us 3 earthquakes and think it's just fine. 4 earthquakes, and they think it's just fine. Going up here in the Philippines, up here in northeastern Philippines, this is Mindanao, Philippines. The island's called Mindanao, Philippines. Up here in the northeast side, this is a 4.5 earthquake here. They're calling moderate 4.5 earthquakes light earthquakes. Light earthquakes. That's BS. They have 3.0, 3.9 they call small earthquakes. How can a moderate earthquake be a small earthquake or less than a small earthquake? That's why I say this is BS. 4.5 earthquakes can cause moderate damage. That's always been the case. Not light damage, but moderate damage. As we describe moderate damage, it means that pictures fall off of walls, knickknacks and books fall off of shelves. If plates are sitting on a shelf without adequate protection, those plates and glasses and other glassware will fall off the shelf because of rattling, and they'll break in a million pieces. This earthquake was on land here. This earthquake was on land. Mid-range 4.5. Adequate damage here. Adequate damage here. Yes, this was in the mountains. But depending on where this earthquake was and the bedrock where it was at, the seismic energy here echoed all over the hillsides, all over the strata here. People may have felt this for miles around. Moderate earthquakes cause moderate damage, regardless of what USGS calls it. Okay? Now, I want to go north. South of Japan here, we had an earthquake here. This is northeast of Taipei, Taiwan. The islands here belong to Japan. This earthquake here was a 5.0 earthquake, 6.2 miles, 10 kilometers deep, in the East China Sea. This earthquake is far enough away from any landmass or anybody living on these islands. Nobody felt this earthquake because the seismic energy here was absorbed by the seawater here, the South China Sea. Okay? That's what happened here. Now, there's another earthquake here in Japan we need to talk about. Again, this is off this eastern shore of Honshu, Japan. Off the eastern shore of Honshu, Japan. This also was a 5.0 earthquake. Large 5.0 earthquake. In this case, this was 35 miles east-southeast of Ofunatu, Japan. Ofunatu, Japan. Okay, large earthquake. 37.5 miles deep. Offshore. Now, this is close enough to the shoreline that someone on the shoreline may have felt some parts of this earthquake. They probably did not feel the whole brunt of a 5.0 large earthquake, but they probably did feel a moderate shaking here. They probably felt some kind of moderate shaking here on land. Yes, there are villages here, towns and villages here in Japan. They felt this earthquake. But quite honestly, the people here in Japan are very well prepared, better prepared for earthquakes than anywhere else in the world. If anyone else was living here, they were prepared to handle this earthquake. I don't think they suffered much of any damage at all, if anything. Okay? Now, there are other earthquakes here as well, but again, heaven forbid, USGS would tell us what's going on here. Now, I want to go over Europe before I go into the Aleutian Islands and Russia. Over here, southern Italy, offshore southern Italy, we had an earthquake here. This is a 4.4 earthquake south of Italy here. Guess what it's on? It's on a fault, the edge of the plate here. This was a 4.4 earthquake. Nobody on land in Italy felt this earthquake at all. The energy from this earthquake was absorbed by water in the ocean here, the Mediterranean Sea. But again, where is this earthquake located? On a fault line. Again, the edge of the plate. Let's follow it south and east here. This fault line goes down on the western side of Greece and continues south of Greece. Continues east into the Mediterranean Sea here. We have another earthquake here as well. This is a 4.2 earthquake here in the Mediterranean Sea. Just like the 4.4 in Italy. Nobody felt this earthquake at all. The Mediterranean Sea waters absorbed the shockwaves of this quake. Again, the Anatolian Fault goes down here. This is the Anatolian Fault, the same fault line that caused that earthquake in Italy. Same fault line. In this case, the Anatolian Fault goes south of Cyprus here in the Mediterranean Sea, then it heads north into Syria and the Turkey-Syria border region, the Anatolian Fault. This is the same location where 3 years ago, 2023, February 3rd, we had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here. I've talked about this before. It killed over 5,000 people and injured over 5,000 more. It also caused a huge fissure to open up in the land. Huge gulch in the land. A gulch, a fissure that opened up, 14 miles long, that could house an 8-story building inside of the fissure, 8 stories deep. That's what kind of huge earthquake this was. This area is still having earthquakes. USGS is not showing any earthquakes here. There are 36 earthquakes that USGS is not showing here on the Anatolian Fault. Here in eastern Turkey, in the Syria border region here. That's a lot of earthquakes. The USGS is not showing. But they're also not showing any earthquakes at all here in Turkey. Up here in northern Turkey, including northwestern Turkey, there are over 200 earthquakes here in northern Turkey alone. Over 200 earthquakes here in northern Turkey alone. A large majority of those earthquakes are here in northern Turkey, northwestern Turkey, right here, right in this area here. Over 152 earthquakes right here in northwestern Turkey. Swarms and swarms of earthquakes are hitting here. Large earthquakes have also hit here. Swarms continue to hit here for many years. Many years. Over here in western Turkey, about 42 earthquakes hit here along the coastline. About 12 earthquakes hit here in southern Turkey alone. Out here in the Aegean Sea here, between Turkey and Greece. These islands here are called Dokanese Islands. The Dokanese Islands, they belong to Greece. They have minor earthquakes out here and tremors. 1.0, 1.9 tremors, 2.2 and 2.3 earthquakes here in the Aegean Sea. Over here in Greece, about 17 or 18 earthquakes here in Greece alone. Most of those earthquakes are here in northern Greece here. That's pretty much average for Greece every day. North central Italy right here. Anywhere from 20 to 30 earthquakes hit here every day, sometimes more. Swarms of earthquakes. This area is also due to have another large earthquake here. Once the swarms continue to a certain point, all of a sudden we have a large 5.0 earthquake here. That's been the case about every 3 to 5 months. Earthquakes here. Then we go here to northern Italy. Northeastern Italy here in the resort areas. Minor tremors. Minor tremors over here in the western Italian resort areas here. Going over here to the Alps. The Italian Alps, the Swiss Alps, and the German Alps, ALPS. We have minor tremors and minor earthquakes here. Again, 1.0 to 1.9 tremors, 2.2, 2.3, up to 2.7 earthquakes here in Germany and France. Here. Switzerland also. Okay? Down here at the border region of France and Spain, there are 2 earthquakes here. One over here in western Spain-France border area here. Another minor earthquake over here in the eastern France-Spain border area here. A handful of earthquakes down here in southern Spain. Here. That's normal. These are minor 2.0, 2.7 earthquakes here. Okay? Then we come down here to the Strait of Gibraltar, the Azores Islands here. Offshore from the the Azores Islands here, can't speak either. Offshore here in the Azores Islands, we have 2.7, 3.2, and 3.5 earthquakes here. That's normal almost every day. There are minor tremors and minor earthquakes down here in the Canary Islands off the western shores of Africa, the Canary Islands. This is pretty much normal every day. Okay? Now, I want to just go for a minute up here to Iceland. USGS is not showing anything going on here in Iceland. Now, they've not had a huge volcanic eruption here in Iceland for quite some time. They may be gearing up for a huge eruption here in South Central Iceland. South Central Iceland. Why? Because they have just found out. They have just found out that down here northwest of Greenvik here, right in this area here, okay, they have a huge magma reserve here, huge reservoir. That magma reservoir has more magma beneath it than ever before. Ever before. What's happened before now? What's happened with that magma reservoir before now? When that magma reservoir fills up, what's happened? Can anybody tell me what happens here? When that magma reservoir fills up, a huge volcanic eruption happens. Usually a fissure eruption. Usually a very large fissure eruption going kilometers long, 12 to 13 kilometers long. Huge lava fissure eruption. Now, this may not happen that way now, but what might happen? What might happen? We may soon see a volcanic eruption right here. Right here. Now, here's where Iceland has a huge power plant. They have a huge power plant here. Right just northwest is a power plant. They have a huge spa there. They have a huge spa. So far, all of the lava eruptions have been either to the south or to the north. They have affected those places. They have affected the power plant. They have affected the spa. But Icelandic officials have put up a huge barrier wall, now over 100 feet high to keep the lava out. A huge lava wall around the spa and around the power plant. But this time, the lava reservoir is right beneath that power plant and the spa. If that reservoir erupts, it will reduce the power to Iceland almost by 2/3. This power plant receives steam from the upper magma chambers of the volcano, powering turbines to generate electricity, powering turbines to push hot groundwater here from the power plant to almost all of Iceland. Almost all of Iceland. If a volcano erupts here, this would mean devastation to most of Iceland. Because like I said, this power plant here provides power to most of Iceland. Most of Iceland here. Now there is a power plant up here at the capital Iceland here. Right here, Reykjavik. There is a power plant right here that supplies about 1/3 of the power to Iceland, right here. But this power plant is nowhere fit. Nowhere can it provide power for the entire island nation of Iceland. Okay? So I believe that people in Iceland need our prayers. That reservoir of magma will be distributed north and east to the other part of the island, so that this earthquake, this huge volcano does not happen. So this huge volcano doesn't happen. Now that power plant, underneath that power plant and the spa, so far they've had the eruptions north and east and south of that power plant. Yes, the magma reservoir beneath the power plant and the spa has been distributed to the eruption so far. We hope it happens again. We hope it happens again. But right now, there's more magma beneath that reservoir, or in that reservoir, beneath the power plant and spa, where the authorities here in Iceland are afraid that this place might erupt right here. I'm just putting that out for all of you, so you might know what's going on. Because if this happens, it will probably happen very soon. Okay? Just wanted to let you know. Yes, it's a Blue Lagoon Spa. The Blue Lagoon Spa, Linda Covington put it in the chat. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. Renee Steffi's putting out tornado warnings for Briscoe, Oklahoma, Depew, Oklahoma. Confirmed tornado near Depew, Bristol, and Shamrock, Oklahoma, until 5:30 p.m. Central Time, which is about right now. Okay? Renee Steffi saying a tornado warning has been issued for Tulsa, Oklahoma, until 6:30 p.m. Locations include Bristow, Sand Springs, Sapulpa, Kellyville, Manford, Keystone State Park, and Kiefer, Oklahoma. Tornado warning. A tornado warning means a tornado has either been sighted or been put on radar. If it's on radar, you can be assured that the meteorologists know where it is. And if a tornado warning has been issued, you need to proceed to your tornado shelters or go to the inside of your home, away from all the windows, to a protected area of your home, possibly a hallway without windows, and pull a mattress over your heads, over your bodies, until the tornado sirens cease, until there's an all clear given. If you don't have a hallway necessary, you have a basement, go to a back corner of the basement, That's the safest places to be. Again, if you have a mattress down there, pull it over your bodies and pray and hold on to it. Okay? Tornado warnings means a tornado's been sighted, either on radar or on the ground. Be safe out there. These tornadoes are going to continue to happen for the next, I want to say, 3 or 4 weeks and probably into the summer as well. I know it's going to happen. And it's going to happen now. We need to be aware of what's happening, guys. We need to be really aware of what's happening. Our very lives depend on it. Earlier, an unwarned tornado was headed towards Tulsa, Oklahoma, near Depew. We've had an update on that since. Rebecca Griffiths in Utah. That's awesome. She's not in New Mexico like she was. She might be visiting relatives in Salt Lake area. That's awesome, Rebecca. That's awesome. Very cool. Very, very cool. Any questions so far? Yes, geothermal heat from the Blue Lagoon Spa. They get heat from the magma beneath the spa. And the power plant also provides power to those areas. Geothermal power. Geothermal resultant power from the magma beneath the spa. Over here, New earthquake here. This is south of Maize, Cuba. South of Maize, Cuba. This is a large 5.0 earthquake here. Large 5.0 earthquake. This happened at about 6:04 p.m. this afternoon, just south of Cuba. Now, guys, this is also on this huge fault zone. Huge fault zone. Coming out of Guatemala over here. Coming across all the way from Guatemala across the Caribbean. Here in the Caribbean, it runs north out here and goes south of Georgetown Islands here. Okay? These islands here. Okay? It continues its eastbound journey, touches the southern end of Cuba here, continues north of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, goes north of Puerto Rico, north and east of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Then it makes it westward or southern turn down here, just south and north of the, not south, but north and east of the Leeward Islands here. Then it goes out here into the Atlantic Ocean. Continues southbound in the Atlantic until it gets over here to Venezuela. Then it makes a westward turn into Trinidad and Venezuela here. Trinidad and Venezuela here. Okay? Huge earthquake fault, guys. Huge earthquake fault. That's what we have here that causes these earthquakes here. That's what drops the earthquakes out here, including south of Cuba here. Right here. This is northwest of U.S. Virgin Islands here. This is a 3.2 earthquake here, 46 miles north of Charlotte Amalie, U.S. Virgin Islands. Over here near San Juan, Puerto Rico here. This is southeast of San Juan. This is Campo Bico, Puerto Rico. 2.3 minor earthquake here. Over here on the southern western side of Puerto Rico. These two earthquakes here are caused by two major earthquakes that hit here. Guess what? 7 years ago. Almost 6.5 years ago. On December 26th and December 28th, two major earthquakes hit this area, southwestern Puerto Rico. An 8.0 and 8.4 earthquake, human caused, man-made caused. 8.0 and 8.4 earthquake devastated this area. All the earthquakes since then have been aftershocks. Aftershocks are still hitting here nearly 7 years later. This is a 2.2 minor earthquake here. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. Okay? That's what happened here. Okay? Now I want to go over here into Alaska before we end this program. Right here. Actually got a better idea how to handle this. Hold on a second. There we go. Over here on the off the southeast coast of Kamchatka Russian Peninsula. This is a 5.1 earthquake. Again, this is on the edge of the plate. The edge of the plate between the Pacific plate and the Sea of Obtuse plate. What they call the Obtuse plate, not the Sea of Obtuse, but the Obtuse plate. This is a large 5.1 earthquake. As you can see, this is on the edge of the plate. This seismic energy is going to go up here into the Aleutian Islands. Probably within the next few days, it's going to be here in the Aleutian Islands. Now, over here, we are still seeing aftershocks from a 6.6, 7.0 earthquake here, just a few days ago. Just a few days ago. These aftershocks here, today, 5.7 earthquake here earlier today. 5.7 large earthquake here. Okay, again, this is east northeast of Attu Island. East northeast of Attu Island. Attu Island, Alaska is right there. Right there. This earthquake here is an aftershock of a 6.6 plus earthquake here earlier this week. 5.7 large earthquake. Aftershock. Aftershock. This is a 4.7 earthquake here. This one is a 4.7, 149 miles east-southeast of Attu Island. This earthquake here is a 4.0 moderate earthquake here. Again, it's in the ocean waters of the Pacific Ocean, an aftershock. The 6.6 plus earthquake here just a few days ago. We're going to have aftershocks here for probably several months, maybe even years. That's what happens when you have a major earthquake here in this area. This was a very strong earthquake, 6.6 at least, possibly larger than that. Okay, now, we are still having earthquakes here in Alaska, all over Alaska. We're not going to cover these earthquakes like we have in the past this week, but I am going to touch on some earthquakes here, right here. Okay, this is very interesting. This is a 4.0 moderate earthquake. 4.0 moderate earthquake here. USGS has this as 21 miles south of Funny River, Alaska. South of Funny River, Alaska, guess what? It's at a lake. This earthquake is just northeast of the lake. Guess what? It's called Dog Lake. Dog Lake. They should have put this as just east of Dog Lake, maybe even a mile south or northeast of Dog Lake. Looks like a dog, doesn't it? Absolutely does. But there's another earthquake here as well. This is a 2.1 earthquake here. Again, they have this as 11 miles east-southeast of Kazaloff, Alaska. I'm going to ask the question again. USGS, why do you continue putting these earthquakes locations nowhere near where these cities or towns are? Why not say it is at the butt of the Dog Lake, near the butt of the Dog Lake? Okay, unreal. Over here, okay, this is in the Cook Inlet here. The Cook Inlet is a body of water right between the parts of southern Alaska here, south central Alaska, going all the way north here into and around Anchorage, the Cook Inlet. This earthquake is a 2.1 minor earthquake here, 9 miles west of California, Alaska. California, Alaska. Again, Russia used to have this land. They deemed it over to the United States. Now Russia wants to take it back. Interesting. 2.1 earthquake near California, Alaska. Going further north here. Look what's not happening here. Tiny tremors, for the most part. Tiny tremors. This one is a 1.5. Nothing anywhere near Anchorage at all. Nowhere near Anchorage. Yes, we have some minor tremors and minor earthquakes up here. Up here. This is 1.8 tremor near Willow, Alaska. Near Willow, Alaska. This is a 1.9, 2.0 earthquake here. 14 miles west of Willow, Alaska. Going up here to the north. 2.1 minor earthquake. 9 miles north of Willow, Alaska. Interesting. Interesting. How about right here? This is a 3.4 earthquake here. 3.4 minor or small earthquake here. 12 miles north of Fishhook, Alaska. Fishhook, Alaska. Why do they call it Fishhook? Look at the fjord here. Look at the fjord. Looks like a big fishhook. Looks like a big fishhook. This is a 3.4 small earthquake. This is a 3.4 small earthquake here. Dual earthquakes. Dual earthquakes here. One more earthquake up here to the northwest. 2.0 earthquake near Secedon, Alaska. 11 miles south-southeast of Secedon, Alaska. Now, guys, the only other earthquakes that are here are either in Denali or just barely north of Denali up here. This is a 2.0 near 4 Mile Road in Alaska. Near 4 Mile Road in Alaska. Up here to the northwest. This is a 1.8 tremor here near Manly Hot Springs, Alaska. Manly Hot Springs, Alaska. That brings us down here to the northwest side of Denali, Alaska here. This is a 2.1 earthquake here. Now, yes, they have this listed near Denali, Alaska, but they are saying that this earthquake is southeast of Denali, Alaska. It's not. This earthquake is northwest of Denali, Alaska. It's obvious. It's very obvious. Nowhere near the southeast. Northwest of Denali, Alaska here. Unreal. Again, USGS cannot even get its directions straight. Up here to the north and east. This is the 1.6 tremor here. Again, USGS has some way to say this might be related to Cantwell, Alaska. It doesn't. This is closer to Denali, Alaska than Cantwell. This earthquake here is also 1.6 near Denali, Alaska here. There are no earthquakes near the Arctic Circle here. There are no earthquakes anywhere near the Arctic Circle here. They are all over here in Central or South Alaska here. That's it. That's it. Do we have any questions? Any questions? No, I did not talk about South America. It's almost stupid. Almost stupid. 46 earthquakes in South America. USGS shows us 2. That's totally insane. Totally insane. Any questions here? Okay. We're coming to the end of our program, guys. Coming to the end of the program. As I've said before, we are a Christian country. Yesterday I presented words from a great author, Richard Paul Evans. He's a beloved author of many, many books, hundreds of books now. He's a great friend of mine. Yesterday on Facebook, he penned these words. He penned these words. These are great words in closing this program. Wonderful words to close this program with. Now, Richard Paul Evans wrote, "O Lord, if I could borrow just one breath from the night you walked in the garden alone, not to ask for miracles, not to beg for proof, but to feel what it was like to be enough, just enough. without the weight of tomorrow's promises. And if you answered, I'd probably cry. Not because it hurt, but because I finally stopped pretending. I know how to carry it all. Christ knew how to carry it all. He carried it all for all of us. The plan was for him to be crucified, to take upon himself all the sins of the world, yours and mine, to die, and thusly be resurrected. So to keep the stars, keep the thunder. Just let me sit here in the dark and believe you're still listening. As Mary Magdalene and her companions mournfully approached the tomb, two angels appeared to them and shared the clarion call of all Christianity. Why seek ye the living among the dead? Why seek ye the living among the dead? He is not here, but he is risen. This Easter season, we joyfully testify of this same eternal truth. Jesus Christ is risen. He lives. The Savior of the world was crucified, and on the third day he rose from the dead, the first fruits of them that slept. His resurrection allowed all to be resurrected, each and every one of us. Through his grace, we can find peace, which passeth all understanding, and be perfected in him. We invite everyone during this Easter season to seek this same Jesus, of whom the prophets and apostles have written. And as you do so, we testify to you that your Easter celebration can strengthen your own faith and your testimony that death is conquered, that man is free. Christ has won the victory. Christ has won the victory. Brothers and sisters, I've told you this before, and I believe this totally. I have a testimony that Christ lives. He hears and answers prayers. Christ the Lord is risen today. He rose Easter morning for each one of us. For each one of us. I pray that each one of you can take advantage of that resurrection. Know for sure yourselves. Gain a stronger testimony of the Savior. Gain a stronger testimony of the Savior. Find out for yourself that he is risen. May God bless you and protect you, that you can find your own testimony in the Savior. I know for a surety that he is risen for each one of us today. May God bless and protect each one of you. May God be with you this day and always. That's my prayer for each one of you. God bless you. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Take care, everybody. God be with you today.
Your flooring at home.